history of education of the British Empire can be tracked back to the Anglo-Saxon settlements. The Viking invasion, starting in 866, put a halt to the development of schools in England for some time as the raid caused havoc in the nation. Wessex was one part of the country that resisted the Viking control and appointed King Alfred in 871 at the age of 23. Alfred was very interested in education, educating his children in Latin and English, while playing a major role in reconstructing the school system in England. In 1016, Canute, a former invader turned Christian, became king. Canute was worried about education for poor boys, as he believed that they were just as smart as or smarter than the wealthy children. In 1066, William the Conqueror and the Normans invaded England. This had some effect on the education system at the time. Following the invasion, there were translations from Norman into English, but no longer was Latin translated into English, but into Norman French. Norman French was the vernacular of the upper class until the reign of Edward III. At this time, education was primarily vocational. Around 1100, most of the cathedrals and collegiate churches had schools, with the schoolmaster being their most important officers and teaching at the forefront. Also, other schools started to be established, not all provided by the church. Within these institutions, the learning was limited to reading and writing. However, the school curriculum was beginning to change. Rhetoric became as important as grammar for the younger students, while logic was increasing in popularity for older students based on the availability of Aristotle's work. During the Middle Ages, schools were primarily used to teach Latin grammar, while to enter into practical occupations, individuals would have to complete an apprenticeship such as law, medicine, or theology. In 1564, the Statute of Artificers and Apprentices was passed to regulate and protect the apprenticeship system. This denied individuals to practice their craft without serving a 7-year period as an apprentice to a master. 2 universities were founded during the reign of Edward VI, the University of Oxford, then the University of Cambridge, in addition to a reformed system for grammar schools termed free grammar schools. The free grammar schools were created to provide free tuition for those individuals who could not afford to pay the fees. During the early 19th century, the Church of England was responsible for most schools until there was a shift later in the century which offered free compulsory education for all. In 1944, the Education Act created the tripartite system, which included grammar schools, secondary modern schools, and secondary technical schools. In 1972, the age for students leaving school was 16. In 1988, the Education Reform Act was established, which ensured that all schools were teaching the same curriculum, and standardized testing was introduced. Parents at this time were now able to influence what school their child would attend. Thank you for watching my podcast on the history of education of the British Empire.